GTA, Ride Connected.
Good morning, everyone. I'd like to welcome everyone to, our Black History Spotlight Kickoff. I'm Lisa McMillan, the 2023 Greensboro Transit Advisory Commission Chair. A few housekeeping details. We do ask that everyone silence their phone as to not disrupt the flow of the program. As well, the restrooms are located outside of the auditorium. If you take a right and then your first right, they will be located to your left. At this time, I'd like to call upon Pastor Dion Clark from Equation Church to deliver the invocation.
This time, let us bow our heads. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for who you are. We thank you just for being great and kind and merciful to us. We thank you for those who have come before us and we're able to honor them, give spotlight. We thank you for the history and what this month means. We thank you for the four who sat. We thank you for just everything that you have shown us through history so that we could do what we needed to do. And Father, we pray that we continue to fight, we continue to remember, and we continue to be blessed from those who have allowed us and afforded us the opportunity to be great in this season. And thank you for the wonderful leaders of the city. We thank you that you're kind to them. We thank you that you continue to lead them and guide them, and the wonderful leaders of this program. In your name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor Clark. Now, if we will receive Jim Westmoreland from the Gateway Research Park, operator of the Union Square campus, to welcome attendees and provide additional background about this wonderful facility.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
It's a pleasure to have you all here with us at Union Square campus this morning. Just to show of hands, how many of this is your first time in this building? All right, good. We got a lot of newbies. We got a lot to teach you and tell you about the history and story of Union Square campus. So the short story is Union Square campus is a formative partnership and collaboration between North Carolina A&T State University, the University of North Carolina Greensboro, Open Technical Community College, and Home Health. The short story is these partners came together back in 2016 to really focus on the needs of the community related to nursing and specific programs that they were both supporting and sponsoring from a nursing perspective. They focused on how could they build and develop a building that would meet and provide for the state-of-the-art simulation equipment for nurses of the future. So they came together, and effectively what you're in today is about a $35 million investment that was made back in 2016. There's over $5 million worth of simulation equipment in this particular building. And the better part of the story is, since 2016, there's been over 2,000 degrees awarded of various types by the institution. So in this building, they offer an associate's degree that allows those students to go on and become registered nurses in the community. They have a Bachelor of Science in Nursing degree, which has 3 or 4 different components to it. So if you're a registered nurse in the community and you want to come back and pursue your bachelor's degree, you can do it here and do it pretty quickly. They've got a 4-year nursing degree, and then they've got actually got a doctor's of nursing practice degree here. So this was the first place in the community where doctor's of nursing practice was offered by UNCG for students in this area. Of importance this morning, I want to let you know that part of the planning process for this building involved a session with the partners and with the community to really focus on sort of the elements of the community that drive this part of Greensboro and specifically the neighborhood around the community. So what I'd like to draw your attention to when you walk out of the auditorium this morning, if you would sort of take a right-hand turn and look at the history wall that is created.
Sure.
Is that me? Nebula? Okay. All right. I'm back here. So, but if you would, when you walk out of the auditorium this morning, take a right-hand turn and look at the history wall that was created. I think you'll be surprised, and I think you'll learn many things about healthcare in nursing in Greensboro. Specifically profiled on that board are what I will say, many local prominent African-American, Black leaders and community and civic leaders who focused on healthcare and nursing needs of the community. And I think, again, you'll be impressed with what you see. I know that it's something that, as I was looking back at it again yesterday, I learned something about the various doctors that were part of the community, and not only their legacy in healthcare, but also their legacy in civil rights. I think it's appropriate today as we celebrate the beginning of Black History Month in our country, and specifically here in Greensboro, that we take a moment to look at that history and learn from what it's taught us as we move forward together. So thank you again for being here. I'm more than happy to give any or all of you tours of the building after the event if you'd like to do that. Otherwise, just let me know, and I'll be glad to come back and give you a tour in the future. So thank you for having me.
Thank you, Mr. Westmoreland. So now, if we could receive our Greensboro City Council member, who is also the liaison for Greensboro Transit, Ms. Sharon Hightower. And as she comes forward, I'd like to acknowledge the city staff on Greensboro Transit. Our first and foremost, our director for Greensboro Department of Transportation, Hannah Cockburn, Bruce Adams, Shira High, Courtney Rory, Beverly Bradley, and George Lenny. In addition, of course, the marketing director, Kevin Elwood, and then our previous GTAC chair, James Gallagher. So Sharon Hightower.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Oh, feels good to be inside, doesn't it? I am Karen Hightower. I represent District 1. But I want to welcome all of you on behalf of our Mayor Nancy Vaughn, who can't be with us today, unfortunately, and our Mayor Pro Tem, who has traveled out of the country. She's on her way to Germany, I believe, Belgium, one of those places over there, and the Greensboro City Council. So welcome to all of you, to our guests that are going to be online that we'll hear from shortly, to this Black History Month Spotlight, sponsored by our Greensboro Transit Authority, on this especially important day, the first day of Black History Month. You know, Carter G. Woodson came up with Black History Month as a way to celebrate significant milestones in Black history, to remember it all year long. And so this is a great way of kicking it off by doing something today that's going to highlight two icons of Black history that we will learn a lot from. One, we will hear from the relative of Dr. Charles Giroux today, who will talk about her father and his significant contributions. And we are so grateful for him because without him, we would not know about blood transfusion, and American Red Cross would not exist. So we have pioneers that have done things so important to us that come from, years and years of research and history, even years ago when they really didn't have the benefits themselves of that blood transfusion. Because as you know, Dr. Bruce didn't have that benefit, even though he himself made it possible for all of us to do that. So I'm excited to hear today from his relative, and I'm excited also to see this information on one of our buses. All month long, it will be traveling throughout the city of Greensboro with the information on it. If you haven't ridden one of our buses, get on this one in particular, because it's got a lot of history, and so you'll see it all month long, and even probably past February, because February is not just Black History. Black History is 365 days. And so you may see it past February 28th, but don't think that's a mistake. That's on purpose too. So welcome. I hope that you enjoy the program. I'm glad to have you all out, and thank you all for pulling this together.
Thank you, Ms. Hightower. And now if we can welcome Kevin to tell us the purpose of us on this monumental day. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Kevin Elwood with Greensboro Transit Agency. Today is the first day of Black History Month. Now, Black History Month runs February 1st through 28th, or every 4 years, February 29th. Schools, organizations, companies, governments all take the opportunity to show their support of both the well-recognized and the unsung heroes of Black America. For Greensboro Transit Authority, we are no exception. We are used to using this annual recognition to spotlight not just important people and events in civil rights, but business, entertainment, sports, the arts, and more. For 2023, GTA is honoring a pair of innovators who made important contributions to our society in the areas of technology and medicine. Electronics engineer Gerald Lawson, also known as Jerry, created the first video game console to use interchangeable cartridges. His invention led to the way for the video game industry today to be able to continue with their growing revenue opportunities and consumers expanding variety in their game experience. You'll hear more about Mr. Lawson from our next speaker. Our second honoree is Dr. Charles A. Drew, creator of the modern day system for processing, collecting, and distributing blood products. His work has saved countless lives in peace and in wartime in the United States and abroad. We are proud to have a representative of the American Red Cross Carolinas chapter here today to expound on their organization's debt to his legacy. And if that isn't enough, we will have a live interview from Los Angeles with Sylvia Drew Ivy, who is the youngest daughter of Dr. Drew and is also someone to admire in her own right. Dr. Charles Drew and Gerald Lawson, two deserving individuals who are not only our heroes, but are the pure definition of Black history being American history. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Gerald Lawson and Dr. Charles Drew's innovations are the foundation of many higher education institutions and programs, as well as medical programs. To provide their perspective on our honorees, we will now hear from the representative of the University of North Carolina at Greensboro and the American Red Cross, beginning with John Burchert, Associate Director for UNCG's Network for the Cultural Study of Video Games.
Thank you all very much. I'm honored to be here. On behalf of Chancellor Frank Gilliam, the UNCG faculty, staff, and students, I extend my heartfelt thanks for you for the opportunity to be a part of this celebratory event. My name is John Burchert. I am faculty at UNCG and the Associate Director of the UNCG Network for the Cultural Study of Video Games. Our mission is to bring together students and scholars invested in using games in their learning and teaching. I'm especially excited to share a few remarks to mark Black History Month and help honor the incredible work and legacy of Jerry Lawson, the quote-unquote father of the video game cartridge. Because I myself am not only a scholar of video games, but I am a lifelong gamer. And I am not alone. There are more than 175 million video gamers in the United States today, and that number will likely hit 183 million by 2024. According to survey data, 83% of American women and 97% of men between the ages of 13 and 17 play video games regularly. Gaming has become more than a pastime and is now an integral part of all culture. It is part of who we are. And it is so because of Jerry Lawson. Jerry was born in Brooklyn, New York in 1940. His father was a longshoreman that loved science and his mother worked for the city and served on the PTA. Both encouraged Jerry's love for science and technology. Jerry earned his amateur radio license as a teenager and made spare money helping repair televisions and radios. He used those earnings to buy components from local electronic suppliers to build a radio station out of his family's apartment. While in college, the energy and excitement of the Silicon Valley and his passion for innovation and innovation were forces too strong to ignore. In 1970, Jerry joined Fairchild Semiconductor in San Francisco as an applications engineer supporting the sales team and calling on customers. After building a coin-operated video arcade game in his garage using a Fairchild microprocessor, he earned his way up the company ladder to ultimately become chief hardware engineer and director of engineering and marketing for Fairchild's video game division. It was a 1975 breakthrough that Jerry helped develop that revolutionized video games. Jerry and his team created the interchangeable video game cartridge, which allowed Atari and future companies to develop and sell libraries of video games that could all be played on the same console. We all owe Jerry that great experience of blowing on a cartridge and popping it back into our system to see if it will work. Though I'm not sure an engineer like Jerry would approve of such a procedure. This single innovation helped launch the home video game industry and made games accessible for all, regardless of socioeconomics, race, ethnicity, or gender. Jerry was an innovator who pushed what games could be. It is a passion that I and UNCG share, and why we are developing gaming integrated courses for students, launching a statewide, curriculum-focused high school competitive gaming league, and why we opened the UNCG Esports Arena and Learning Lab. Jerry's insatiable curiosity and his engineering mindset saw what was possible, not what was insurmountable. He broke through barriers and set an example for future generations that looked like him. Jerry's love for games changed the course of history. It provided millions of gamers an opportunity to be a part of a community that seeks understanding and meaningful connection through video games. Part of studying and teaching what games is, and with games, is learning about the people and the culture that shape them. Jerry Lawson is one of those people. Jerry's life and his contribution can teach us about the power of games and gaming to bring people together, to teach people about compassion and overcoming adversity through cooperation and determination. Because of his legacy, UNCG can provide all students with a gaming integrated education that will ignite the passions and imaginations of future Jerry Lawsons to create the innovators and leaders of tomorrow. So come by the esports arena someday. You will see how we are all gamers. I hope this recognition can bring light to the contributions of people like Jerry to our communities and lives. So thank you for this opportunity, and thank you to Jerry Lawson.
Thank you, Mr. Burchard. Now, if we can welcome Ms. Hope Martin from the Sickle Cell Account Management Office for the American Red Cross Carolinas region.
Hello, everyone. And as mentioned, my name is Hope Martin, and I am the Sickle Cell Account Manager for the Greater Carolinas region of the American Red Cross, which I'm in support of Charlotte, Winston, Greensboro, and also Asheville. So thank you for allowing me to be here today. With Black History Month, it is a time to honor the significant achievements of significant Black Americans. And with that being, Black excellence is in our blood. The Red Cross commemorates the vibrant legacy of history makers with whose contributions continue to advance our communities and life-saving missions today. Dr. Charles Drew, surgeon, pioneer of modern blood banking, was named the first medical director of the Red Cross National Blood Collection Program in 1941. His work with the Red Cross helped save lives of hundreds and thousands of soldiers and civilians during World War II. Dr. Drew's efforts to increase the blood supply led to the use of blood mobiles and other collection and preservation and distribution processes still used today. An advocate for equality and excellence in medicine, Dr. Drew also challenged the military's policy of segregating blood plasma products by race. Through the collaborative support of civil rights organizations and the Red Cross, the government later discontinued the practice. The need of donors that are African American and Black play a vital role in meeting the broader transfusion needs of patients with sickle cell disease. And I ask you today to join us in elevating the Black excellence this month by giving the gift of life. So remember that your blood is needed, your blood is necessary, and your blood also saves lives.
Thank you, Ms. Martin. Now it's time to introduce and welcome our interviewer, Bria Maiden, an on-air announcer with WNAA and State University and School of Math student.
Hello, everyone. My name is Bria May. I am a journalism student at North Carolina A&T State University and currently serve as the broadcast voice a 90.1 FM. Today, I have the great honor and privilege to sit down with Sylvia Ivy and talk about the importance of her father, Dr. Charles R. Drew, and his contribution to society. Like her father, Sylvia has been serving as a key humanitarian within society. Sylvia is a Black mental health advocate and activist. Currently, she serves as the Special Assistant to the President of the Charles R. Drew University of Medicine and Science. In this role, she works with health centers, community-based organizations, and community coalitions to develop programs that promote the development of the university. Within her humanitarian efforts, Sylvia has been awarded many things that show gratitude for her contribution to society. Examples of these awards include the Los Angeles City Council Women Pioneer Award, the Martin Luther King General Hospital Foundation Humanitarian Award, the Women on Target Woman of the Year Award, and these are just to name a few. I am so honored to be able to sit down and speak with you, Sylvia, as you talk about your journey and how it further relates to your father, Dr. Charles R. Drew. Thank you for taking time out of your day this morning. It is such an honor.
Thank you, Bria. It's wonderful to be interviewed by such a lovely, bright young person.
Thank you. Okay, so we're going to start, and I just wanted to say, so as we know, or some people are about to get educated on Dr. Charles R. Drew, he was a key pioneer when it came to the evolution of equality within the segregated America. As his youngest daughter, getting kind of an inside look on him, who was Charles Drew to you, and what role did he play within your growth as a humanitarian?
Well, I was thinking in the earlier presentation that it's just quite accidental in a way that my father went into medicine, because when he was a high school student at Dunbar High School, which is a very famous Black school in Washington, D.C., he wanted to be an engineer. If you look at the yearbook, you'll see that his ambition was to be an engineer. So I'm so proud to hear about the wonderful person who has given us the gaming console, who is an engineer. Engineers are really indispensable, and we don't celebrate our own engineers enough. So thank you for that. But he was a football player, and he was badly injured in a game, and he had to go to the hospital. And during that hospital stay, we think he changed his mind and said, "Oh, I like what these doctors are doing. I like that they're saving my leg," and he developed a idea that he would go to medical school. So that's how it happened. We didn't have any doctors in our family. There were very few Black doctors at the time he came along. So that was a pioneering idea that he had, that he would do that.
Okay. Other than the incident that took place that kind of you think brought him into the medical field, can you tell us a little bit about him growing up and how it kind of contributed to the things that he's done in society?
Well, he grew up in a wonderful family. His father had only a third grade education. But he was a very fine person and a deacon in his church. And he raised 5 children. My father was the eldest of those 5 children. The mother was a graduate, an early graduate of Howard University for a Black woman. So he had those 2 very important influences, plus his church, which was a big influence on him growing up. And I think the value was, whatever it is you believe, you demonstrate it by doing and showing what your values are.
Okay, that's very interesting, his life growing up. So, being a humanitarian yourself, did you think that Dr. Drew had to reconcile his desire to serve humanity while working under the pressure of segregation, and how do you think these pressures affected him in his work?
He was a believer in showing who we are and what we could do by what you did. He wasn't in the picket lines. He wasn't active in the NAACP. He was really a person who said, let's invest in our own. Let's show what brain power we have. And so he trained Black physicians at Howard University Freedman's Hospital. And those physicians that he trained became the heads of surgery in hospitals throughout the South. I'll bet you if you look back at the history in North Carolina and see where the Black surgeons were in the early days, they would have been trained by my father. So he invested in other people. He invested also in his students in sports. He played football, basketball, baseball, swimming, and he invested in all of those activities to show that everybody had talent if you just worked together toward a goal. That was kind of his way of life.
So his love for sports kind of contributed to helping his medical,
Yeah, because it was sort of a team effort
Yeah.
to take on medicine, take on care of very sick patients in Washington, to love them, care for them, make them get well. That was the goal.
Right.
And when people would visit his office, and there'd be others waiting to see him, then the one would come out and the one outside waiting would say, "Did you get the elixir?" Because he had the capacity to just excite people about what they were trying to do, to make them want to do it hard and better and be successful at it for the benefit of others, not to shine light on themselves, but to do the thing that they were invested in doing for the benefit of other people.
That's very interesting, and that's very cool to hear about. Because I know that a lot of people who are interested in sports, sometimes if they aren't allowed to be in the sport, they choose the medical field that's kind of surrounded by the sport. So that's really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So speaking of segregation, there have been theories about Dr. Drew's reasoning for leaving the American Red Cross blood program. Some say it was in protest of the policies on segregating blood. Can you dive more into that and offer some clarity on his reasoning for leaving?
We don't really have much record of his thoughts and feelings about leaving. He was asked to lead a very important project in New York City at the time of World War II to collect blood for soldiers and to use the work that he had done in how you separate the red blood cells from the yellow blood cells and spin it down and dry the plasma to be able to ship it across the water into the European battlefields. And that saved many, many lives. And the process, we still use the process that he developed today to make sure that it's sterile and will last a long time. Plasma lasts much longer than blood, red blood cells. The Red Cross asked him to work on that project, and they initially said, don't collect from blacks, just collect from whites. And he said, no, that won't be acceptable. I have to collect from both. And so they yielded, and they said, okay, you can collect from both, but you have to label it. And so he did acquiesce to that, but he didn't want to acquiesce to that because he knew that the blood of everyone was the same. It doesn't differ by race.
Mm-hmm.
So he completed his project there, and at the end of that year, he then went back to Washington, where his wife my mom was waiting for him with their first baby named Bibi. The nurses named her Bibi for blood bank, which she hates. So that was the way her name is Bibi. So she has a string of other names that she gave herself. But Bibi and my mom were waiting for him, and he was very happy to get back to Washington, to Freedman's Hospital, and to training future surgeons. So it wasn't, we think it wasn't like a frontal protest, but the Red Cross was wrong in that era in its segregationist ideology, and it was his idea that you plant the seed you're planting. You grow the home team. You show what the home team can do, and they definitely made him so proud.
Yes, and that is hilarious. The BB, that's my nickname too, BB.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. So that's funny. Okay, so as we know, Dr. Drew accomplished a lot prior to his untimely passing at the age of 45. And myths say that it was myths say that he would have survived if he wasn't denied hospital access and if he wasn't refused a blood transfusion due to his race, which is ironic. Can you share your thoughts on this tragic issue and how you think it has shifted since then, how the issue kind of has developed since then, if he were to pass away, more recently?
Well, the story that you just gave is not true. It's a myth that grew up about his death. He died as a result of a car accident. He was with 3 other physicians driving through North Carolina to go to a free clinic in Alabama. And this is a plaque at the place where he died in North Carolina. The 3 other doctors in the car were thrown out, but his foot was stuck under the accelerator. And so when the car rolled over, he was crushed. And he didn't die immediately. They did call an ambulance. He was taken to a hospital, a white hospital, and 2 surgeons knew of his work and raced to help him, but he was really beyond help because he had been so severely injured. Now, the story of his death, we think, may have been compounded or conflated with the death of another Black man in North Carolina around the same time, who went to the University of North Carolina in Durham to the emergency room. He was very, very ill, and the hospital took blacks, but they had a quota, and
Mhm.
he was one person beyond the quota, and so they didn't admit him, and he died.
Okay.
So it was really a terrible death that didn't need to happen, and that happened at around the same time. So we're not sure, but we think those two stories might have
Got
gotten
switched.
lost in history.
Okay.
Um, but my dad was died as a result of injury, not as a result of neglect.
Okay. Okay. Yes. Yes. So preceding today's recognition by Greensboro Transit Agency, he has received naming awards from numerous schools, medical facilities, and programs. Transportation-wise, he even has the Charles Richard Memorial Bridge in Washington, D.C., along with the U.S. Navy ship Charles Drew. If he was here today, how do you believe he would respond to all of this recognition?
Oh, I think he was very modest. I think he would be very amazed that there is so much effort to remember his name and remember his contribution. He'd be very grateful. Um, and I think he would say, I hope that my example inspires other young people to aim high. You know, he always told his students, whether they were, you know, football or basketball or swimming, aim high. Don't go low. You know, say this is what I can do with my life. This is what I can do with my belief in my people. This is what I can do with the love of my family. I can go as high as I want to aim. I'm not going to start low. I'm going to go high.
Yeah.
And I think that that's what he would say, that you know, we all have talent. We all have talent, and all of our talents are different, and we need all of them in our community. So
Yeah. That's very important. So, is there any final words that you would like to say about your father or share with us about him? Any fun facts or anything?
um, well, I think my father stands for the idea of um, excellence, Black excellence.
Hmm.
You know, we haven't really made the transition that we should have made in this country yet, that people believe we have every capacity to do everything that everybody else does and do it well, do it better in many
Right.
cases.
Yeah.
And he knew that. He invested that belief. And I hope that that belief in us carries on in his name forever, because we will always need it. We will always need to believe in ourselves and our own capacities. And we must always work as hard as we can toward those goals.
Yeah. Well, thank you. This has been very inspiring, very impactful. Thank you for taking the time to educate us on the life of your father, Dr. Charles Richard Drew. It's been a pleasure speaking with you this morning, and I hope everyone that has been listening has been educated a little bit more of Dr. Charles R. Drew and know that he was a key pioneer when it came to the evolution of desegregation within the medical field. It has really been an honor and pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You're a wonderful interviewer.
Oh, thank
Good
you.
luck to you in the future. Okay.
Thank you so much. Have a good one.
Okay. Bye, everybody. Thanks for tuning in.
thank you so much, Sylvia Drew Ivy, for your appearance, and Miss Madeline, and all of our speakers today. Thank you so much, Sylvia Drew Ivy, for your appearance, and Miss Madeline, and all of our. Thank you to Union Square Campus for hosting this event, and WNAA-FM. Now, if we can make our way to the bus outside, please take plenty of pictures, selfies, and post them everywhere to mark this important day of recognition, and look for the Black History Spotlight bus arriving at a bus stop near you to ride connected with Greensboro Transit Agency. Thank you.
This is the